reacted. They've slipped around $115 to the barrel is currently where we are trading at. But to understand how this hike in output is going to impact nations worldwide and, of course, Indian OMCs, the oil marketing companies, let's get perspective from Abhishek Kumar, the Chief Analytics Officer at Energy Projections. Great to have you with us, Abhishek Kumar, this evening. A very warm evening here in Mumbai. But tell us about the kind of slip that we've seen crude prices take on the back of this increased output by OPEC Plus. Is this going to be a temporary reprieve, you think, on global crude prices, or is this likely to hold?
Thank you. So today's could be a key OPEC Plus ministerial meeting, especially in light of the recently announced ban on seaborne oil imports by the European Union from Russia. So OPEC Plus will have to play a more proactive role in managing markets in the short to medium term. And today's decision and the way things are going, it certainly is in the right direction. So it is likely that greater cooperation and coordination among member countries in the cartel will emerge over the coming months. So global demand for oil will remain strong during the next few months. However, supplies are already struggling to cope with demand. And Russia, which is an integral part of the OPEC Plus, but its oil production has been adversely impacted by sanctions following Russia's invasion of Ukraine. So, for instance, Russian oil output averaged only 9.2 million barrels per day in April 2022, which was around 900,000 barrels per day below the levels seen in April 2021. So we have already seen the impact of sanctions on Russian oil output. So coming back to the question of the decision by OPEC to
so is this
production.
a strategic decision, Abhishek Kumar, or do you think that we're just trying to kind of meet the demand situation, as it were?
Well, I would say that OPEC Plus is trying to meet the demand situation as best as it can. And that brings me to the next important point, which is the point of spare capacity. So we also need to consider that there is limited spare capacity, especially for the OPEC 13 group, to further boost oil production. And this is going to be a crucial factor, how much increases in production can we see from OPEC Plus and OPEC 13 over the coming months. So the cartel's oil output averaged 28.6 million barrels per day in the month of April this year, which was almost 3.6 million barrels per day higher than in April 2021. So we have already seen output increasing significantly over the past year. So that also implies that most of this increase came from countries like Saudi Arabia and the United Arab Emirates.
Yes.
So consequently, because they have already increased production so much, the two countries have got much less spare capacity now than they had a year ago.
So there might not be too much headroom, is what I hear you say. But inflation is a major concern, Abhishek Kumar. The world over, this has been a rising problem, and the culprit, by and large, has been rising oil prices. Now, if the dip stays or becomes even sharper in oil prices, how quickly do you see the impact of a fall in crude prices on the prices of essential commodities? What is the trickle-through like?
Well, I would say, like, at least you need to give a time period of about 3 to 6 months before you can see any impact of falling crude prices, and we are assuming that this trend sustains on inflation.
And how do you see the US dollar move on the back of the slip in crude prices? If you can help our viewers understand the correlation with which that works?
Well, the US dollar situation, if we are looking, then we also need to look at the stance of the U.S. Federal Reserve and how it is expected to change its policy over the coming months. And then we are already seeing a willingness by the Federal Reserve to tighten its monetary policy. So as it continues to tighten its monetary policy, that's going to boost strength in the US dollar, and which in turn will weigh on oil prices. However, whether that will be the dictating factor affecting crude oil prices, that is still not certain. We still need to look at how the OPEC plus and other producers, especially US, reacts in terms of oil production.
Always a pleasure talking to you, Abhishek Kumar. Many thanks for joining us with your perspective on crude oil prices and the way we've seen them slip on the back of increased output by OPEC plus.